The heirs divide. The Lancasters didn't just own buildings in Manhattan. They were silent partners in tech, energy, and political lobbying firms. Their name wasn't just old money. It was ancestral power, the kind that made judges nervous and that whispered at the backs of senators' necks. At the center of this legacy was Jonathan Lancaster, the Crown Prince. Ivy League educated, impossibly charismatic, with the kind of bone structure PR agencies dream of. But he was different from the others. He believed in ethics, transparency. He believed in Amelia, and that made him dangerous. It began with a lie. A private brunch, no press, no PR team. Just Amelia and the family at their secluded Westchester estate. Jonathan was told there was an emergency shareholder meeting. Amelia was told Jonathan would meet her there. Neither was true. The estate was eerily quiet when she arrived. The valet didn't speak. They led her into the study. Doors locked behind her with an audible click. Charles Lancaster sat in his wingback chair, perfectly still, like a serpent waiting to strike. Eleanor Lancaster stood beside the fireplace, sipping tea with the cold grace of a queen watching a traitor being tried. "We won't take up much of your time," Eleanor said, placing a white folder on the desk. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were gleaming with restrained cruelty. "Jonathan's loyalty is blinding him, but ours is to the family legacy." "You mean your control," Amelia replied. Charles's nostrils flared. "Don't mistake this for a negotiation." Inside the folder, divorce papers, a signed settlement, $15 million offshore, a Manhattan brownstone, and an NDA. Eleanor smiled with icy triumph. "Walk away, clean, no scandal, no drama. Think of it as doing the right thing. For him." Amelia stared down at the folder, and then, with steady fingers, she opened her handbag and placed a black leather dossier next to it. "Then you'll want to read this before I decide what the right thing is." Inside Amelia's folder, financial records, wire transfers, shell corporations, all connecting Lancaster Enterprises to discrete accounts under Victoria Lancaster's name, Jonathan's younger sister, vacation homes, trust funds, private jets, all paid from a trust that legally belonged to Jonathan alone. Amelia had traced every dime, every shell company. She leaned forward. "You didn't just manipulate him. You stole from him." Eleanor's hand trembled ever so slightly. Charles's face turned a shade darker, his fists clenched. "You insignificant little climber," he said. "No," Amelia cut in. "I'm his wife. And the only reason he doesn't already know is because I needed to give you a chance to choose something you've never chosen before. Decency." She stood, leaving both folders on the desk. "You asked me to walk away? Consider this your last invitation." She walked out, head held high. Jonathan arrived home to find Amelia waiting, the black folder in her hands like a confession she didn't want to make. "They came after me today," she whispered. "Not with insults this time, with a check." She handed him the white folder. Jonathan flipped through it, his expression hardening. Then she gave him the black one. When he saw what his parents had done, the theft, the betrayal, his hands began to shake. He sat down, silent, a storm roiling behind his eyes. "They've been using you," Amelia said gently. "Not just for the business, for everything. You've been funding Victoria's trust fund, her properties, her entire life." Jonathan said nothing. Then, after a long silence, he whispered, "I defended them. I trusted them." Amelia touched his hand. "They used that time to rob you blind." Jonathan stood. Something inside him had changed. Something ancient and cold had awoken. He picked up both folders and turned toward his office. "Call our lawyers," he said. "They're about to lose everything." 3 days later, the boardroom at Lancaster Enterprises was full. The Lancaster family, senior board members, PR representatives, legal counsel, and at the head of the table, Jonathan, no longer the golden son, now the executioner. Amelia sat to his right, silent, steady. He spoke clearly, methodically. Over the past 8 years, my family has diverted over $74 million from my stake in the company to private accounts, under false documentation and internal manipulation, all covered up with illegal shell networks. Gasps. A silence so thick it throbbed. Charles stood. "You ungrateful." Jonathan didn't even look at him. "Sit down, or security will make you." He slid copies of the evidence across the table. "I've spent my life trying to live up to your expectations, trying to earn your respect. But now I realize the only thing I ever needed to do was burn it all down." Eleanor, red-eyed and trembling, tried to speak. "Jonathan, we are your family." "You were," he said. Then he looked to the board. "Effective immediately. I'm removing Charles and Eleanor Lancaster from all positions in Lancaster Enterprises. All shares under their control will be frozen pending legal investigation." Victoria tried to interject, sobbing, pleading, but Jonathan had already stood. He took Amelia's hand, and together they walked out. The tabloids screamed. The elite whispered. The world watched as the Lancaster Empire collapsed from within, its golden sun the very spark. But Jonathan didn't flinch. He changed his last name to Rivera, founded a private equity firm focused on transparency and impact investment. And with Amelia at his side, they built a new legacy, one not built on lies and control, but truth and justice. Every year, on the anniversary of that boardroom bloodletting, Jonathan receives a letter, handwritten, in Eleanor's sharp cursive. He never reads them. He just burns them. Then he turns to Amelia, and they toast in silence. To surviving the bloodline. Like and follow for more videos.